what came to mind is the how we're all immigrants. You talked about yourself coming in from New York, and I grew up in Western Pennsylvania. I've been here for over 40 years, and we're among the majority of Coloradans that are immigrants. I mean, and I think we are the majority in this state. And we share another commonality because we come here for a reason. We dream. So we're dreamers as well. And maybe not in that classic sense of what you were saying, or what we're, not you were saying, but what we're referring to. So folks from other countries. But nonetheless, we're all, wayfarers on a journey and looking for a better place, to live and everything too.
Right.
So we share that.
And I'll give you a great example of it. I was marching in the Evergreen Rodeo Parade a few weeks ago or a couple months ago, and I was marching and my kids were there, and I have 10-year-old twins, and they're amazing kids, thanks to their mother, not to me. But
I'm sure you have a lot to do with it.
Well, my daughter was marching right next to me, and we went over to the side to talk to some people on the side, and I was passing out literature, and she was passing out candy, and some gentleman on the side asked me, "What's your position on immigration?" And he kind of snarled when he asked, and I could tell our positions were not exactly going to line up with one another. But I told him what I've told you, and I was just very direct and honest about my commitment to protecting immigrants. And as I said that, you could tell he was not of the same mind. He started to crumple up the literature I'd given him. And as I walked away, after thanking him for sharing his thoughts with me, my daughter and I had a conversation about there are certain issues you have to stand and fight for. And immigration and protecting our immigrants is one of those issues.
Right. And, and that's a journey. I've talked to other folks that are out there running for various offices, and you get that immediate, woo, up, which, also gives an opportunity, if they don't slam the door in your face or just walk away, to engage a little bit more in conversation. What's your experience on that? You're out on the trail, and, you mentioned this one episode here, incident. What's that like, and then how do you like to respond?
Well, the campaign has been amazing thus far, in part because people are so concerned about the future of Colorado and where we're heading as a nation. Everyone wants to have a discussion. I haven't had one person, not one, slam a door in my face or hang up a phone when I call. Not that everyone agrees with me, such as the gentleman at the parade, but everyone wants to engage right now because I think we all feel a certain amount of anxiety, concern, anger perhaps, about where we are as a state. My goal is to channel that anger and make real progress as Attorney General. I'm committed to doing it. So going out, talking to people throughout the state is a top priority for me. I've been all around the state. I've also challenged the opponents for the Attorney General's office to candidate forums all around the state. I've asked them to join me and go into every judicial district in the state to have debates in front of the voters so that the voters understand the role of the Attorney General. In fact, the Attorney General is the only one with the power and authority to take Donald Trump to court, the only person in the entire state of Colorado, and to talk about our experience and our vision for the Attorney General's office. That's why I challenge my opponents to candidate forums, because we should be engaging everyone in this discussion. It's such an important time for us as a country. This campaign should not be won by money in deep pockets. I'm going to win it by earning the trust and support of voters around the state and by having discussions with people.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And, without getting too far out on the limb, perhaps we can host something right here in Clear Creek in Idaho Springs, for our immediate surrounding counties, Grand, Gilpin, Summit, et cetera. But, just a thought.
That would be great. In fact, I'm going up to Gilpin after we get done here, Jerry, for a candidate forum in Gilpin. Okay. And I'll tell you, not all of my opponents are going to be there. And I think the ones that are not are doing a disservice to the people of Gilpin. This is an opportunity for us to talk to the people of Gilpin about what we're going to bring to the Attorney General's office and where we come from. Because as I say, talk is cheap. All of us can say the same thing, but who's actually going to deliver? I think a lot of it comes down to experience, integrity, and passion.
Well, and, one that, living here which is technically rural Colorado. And I want you to talk about there because, about outreach and so forth here, because I think what happens here in Colorado, the majority of the population is Front Range, Denver, Fort Collins down through Colorado Springs, maybe even Pueblo, but right in that area. And the vast majority, and I put this out to people, there's only two counties in the state of Colorado that are non-rural. Denver is one, obviously. And the tough one is, what's the other one? because every other one has huge tracts of rural land.
Right. What would you say?
Broomfield.
Oh,
Yeah,
good point.
it's the only
Yes.
one. It's really a metro area. You look at all the rest, Arapahoe County, Boulder. Okay, you have those major cities, but the vast tract of land out there is still rural. And so what ends up happening is that the power structure focuses on the urban area, the megalopolis there from Fort Collins down, Colorado Springs, et cetera. And the rest of us kind of left out there. And, so we don't feel that outreach. We don't feel connected oftentimes. Decisions are made down there. What would you do and how would you handle that?
Well, I appreciate that question, and I bring to my answer the following. As a prosecutor at the Attorney General's office, as the head of the criminal section, in charge of the Wrongful Conviction Project, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but I've been all around the state. So I've handled cases in all different areas of the state. And as a runner, I've had the great privilege and opportunity to run in the best parts of Colorado, which is why when I first announced the campaign, one of my first priorities is to open regional offices throughout Colorado. We currently have one office for the Attorney General's office, one building, and it's located in downtown Denver. I strongly believe that if you're going to be a statewide leader, you have to be all around the state. And you should have staff living and working in the communities they are sworn to serve. So I'm committed to opening an office on the Western Slope and one down in the Valley, just to start those two locations, and hopefully bring offices elsewhere. And I'm 100% committed to it. And that's based on my experience that I know that outside of the metro area, people have different challenges and different priorities. And you can't lead just sitting behind a desk in Denver. So I'm committed to getting out there. And I'll tell you just very briefly, when I first came to Colorado to start up the Wrongful Conviction Project, the Attorney General at the time told me my first task was to go around the state and convince each of the elected district attorneys to give us access to their case files, because we had no legal authority to go in and take their files. Keep in mind, Jerry, our goal was to find out if their office had made a mistake and wrongfully convicted someone.
Right.
I went all around the state. I met with each of the 22 elected district attorneys. Every single one of them gave us complete, unfettered access to their files. Otherwise, Mr. Dewey would still be sitting in state prison today. So recognizing that we need to get out from behind the desk in Denver and represent all the people of Colorado is something that I bring to this race, and it's why from the very start of the campaign I announced my commitment to regional offices.
And that's great to hear, Michael, because as I say, sometimes we don't feel included, and it's just almost like an afterthought. Sort of thing. But you point out, like, I think his first name was Robert, wasn't it? Robert Dewey
That's correct.
And it still is. He's still with us, yay. And he was out in Grand Junction, so, that judicial district and everything, too, which is, a couple hundred miles from Denver, to get there. Yet, to make that effort and to bring justice, and I want to get back to that just for a little